Hello, people. Welcome to another episode of Venky's Diary. I've got the OG with me. We are here to talk about yesterday's game, which happened between KKR and RCB. So let's dive into it. Venky, welcome to the show. It's always a pleasure having you. And I want to ask you the first question. Dive into it. What did you make of yesterday's match? If you had to just sum it up.
Well, Kiran, first of all, thank you very much for this introduction, and it is always a pleasure to talk to you as well. It was very interesting, isn't it? It was a close game, very close game, and yes, as usual at Sharjah, we saw a low-scoring game as well. But still, it was a close game because KKR, of course, obviously won the game with 2 balls to spare. So that means we could see how close the game was. And on one side it was Virat Kohli, Royal Challengers Bangalore, and the Royal Challengers Bangalore fans, and on the other side it was KKR Air fans. Of course, the emotions really high from both the sides. But of course, it was sad to see Royal Challengers Bangalore losing it, and it was even more sad because that was the last game that Virat Kohli would be captaining the Royal Challengers Bangalore team.
Great points you brought up. We're going to dissect all of them one by one. Before I ask you my first, dissecting question, do you think the team that deserved to win won?
Well, it was a very difficult choice to make, honestly speaking, because both were deserving. Both were deserving to go to the qualifier too, for the simple reason that they had a great team. They had a balanced team. They had everything the team was supposed to have. You see, so in that sense, I think it is very difficult to pick one particular team. Like as you mentioned rightly, it was the team, the players who held their nerves till the end. Came out victorious, and it was KKR on this occasion. Whereas, RCB did play a wonderful game, but a few hiccups, few decisions that went wrong, I would say.
I'm going to dive into that, whatever you said right now. So what I've done is I'm going to ask you, one team won, one team lost. So for KKR, 3 things that you thought worked, and for RCB, 3 things that didn't work, which ended up putting them on the losing side. So let's start with KKR. 3 things, one by one, at your own pace. What worked for them yesterday?
Well, to begin with, I think the toss. That worked for them, actually. Yeah, so they were very clear that if they win the toss, that they would bowl first. They were very, very clear. And so was Virat Kohli. So obviously, in this case, the decision that Virat Kohli took after winning the toss did
Work
help
for KKR.
I would say. So in that sense, I think the toss worked out for them. Secondly, Kiran, I think the team selection, from KKR's perspective, since we are talking about KKR, I think they went with a very good 11. Probably Dreras might not have been fully fit, and we were actually in our previous episode we were talking about even an 80% or 70% or 80% fit Dreras. When you asked me, would I play him? I said yes, of course, yes. But the point is, I think they read the pitch extremely well. I feel Kolkata Knight Riders. That's one of the reasons why they went with the same team where they had 3 spinners.
Yeah.
3 spinners on a slowish pitch and bowling to Virat Kohli and company. So it was not easy. It was not easy to bowl to Virat Kohli or AB de Villiers or Glenn Maxwell for that matter. But still they went with 3 spinners: Sunil Narine, Varun Chakravarti, and Shakib Al Hasan. So in that sense, that worked for them as well. And the third thing, if you ask me, what worked for KKR is the promotion of Sunil Narine. I mean, what a move that was! That was absolutely wonderful move. I think.
Isn't it? I'm sorry, I'm interrupting you. Isn't it one of those moves that when it comes off, it's amazing, but if it doesn't come off, it's not a big loss because he wasn't going to. I mean, he won you the game, great, but if he didn't with the bat, still they had the batters to do the job.
Absolutely right. Absolutely. Yes, it worked out for them. So because of that, it was a great move. So, I mean, you have to go by instincts at some point of time, and that's exactly what they did. And because we all know Sunil Narine, I mean, he's a he's opened the batting. Can you believe it? As a
Yeah.
bowler, he's opened the batting for Kolkata, and he scored a lot of runs,
Yeah, he's quite devastating.
isn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
so I think that worked brilliantly for KKR. I mean, a
Mhm.
lot of teams who have done these sort of changes in their batting order has not worked.
Yeah.
Okay, this in this case, on a crucial day, and that too when teams are playing the eliminate. So one bad move, you're out of the competition. That's about it. That's the
Yeah.
end of IPL 2021, isn't it?
Yes.
On
Yes.
that day, they make this move, and it paid off for KKR. I think that was wonderful. I feel, yeah.
Brilliant. Brilliant 3 points. Just to touch upon it, in DC versus CSK match, they too tried similar thing. Akshar Patel and Shardul Thakur were sent up the order. It didn't work for both of them, but they had the luxury of playing another game. That's a good point. In an eliminator, it's a bigger move. Now, coming to RCB, three things that didn't work for them on this particular day, which otherwise could have had a different result for them that you thought.
Well, you made me think now. Actually, for us, what didn't work because it because it was a close game. Look, I won't say toss because he was very clear. Virat was very clear that he wanted to bat, and he felt that it's going to get slower and lower later on.
And they
Uh,
got a good start too, 53 for one power play.
Absolutely, isn't it? So in that sense, I think I that's why I didn't want to say that toss didn't work for them. They had a
Yeah.
great. It was a wonderful start. Yes, we did see that the bounce was not that much, but still they managed to score 50 plus runs in the power play. I think that was wonderful, and not losing many wickets. I think they just lost one wicket. That's about it.
Mhm.
So after having that good start, they failed to sort of score big. That's one I would say a shortcoming.
Okay.
That one which didn't work for them. Probably they were say about 15, 20 runs short. I would say even if they were say about 160, around 160, probably they could have put more pressure on
Mhm.
KKR. So
Mhm.
that didn't work. So I'm sure Virat Kohli himself would be blaming for losing his wicket after getting a good start.
He wouldn't
So
want to watch that replay for sure.
I know, isn't it? I think it was very simple. It was from the beginning. It was RCB top order batsmen against the spinners, KKR spinners against Sunil Narayan, Varun Chakravarti, and Shakib Al Hasan. So this is what everybody we were all discussing the same thing. How Virat Kohli, Maxwell, ABD, Bharat, Devdutt Padikkal, how are they going to tackle these spinners? So I think that's where they pretty much lost the game in the sense that they were not able to put 160 on board.
Very good point. Very good point.
And Kiran, you asked me three things. The second most important thing I would say, the second most important
Mhm.
is Dan Christian bowling
That
the
over.
giving 22 runs to Sunil Narain, who was promoted in the batting order. So I think that was one huge over for KKR. It's a
Would you
big over.
would you I'm so sorry I'm interrupting you. I want to ask you
No,
something similarly because would you say that it was Dan Christian's fault for conceding those runs in that over, or would you say it was the captain's wrong move? Because if you were the captain, you would have got a Siraj who can pace it up, test Narain with some bounces. What do you think is the point over here?
I would have probably, bowled Harshal Patel.
Okay.
I wouldn't have brought in Mohammad Siraj, or I wouldn't have brought in Dan Christian. But look, it's very easy for us to say this that in
Fair enough.
hindsight. He must have had the confidence. He must
Yeah.
must have had the confidence that Dan Christian might pick up a wicket, because anyway the move that KKR made in promoting Narain was just to make sure that he just go and play his game and get as
Mhm.
many runs as possible. That's the only idea behind it, and I'm sure Virat Kohli would have read that as
Mhm.
well. So probably, I think somebody like a Harshal Patel would have been apt in that situation to
Mhm.
take the pace off. And we know how well Harshal Patel was executing his change of pace, isn't it? I mean, he was bowling up to the batsman,
Yeah.
not fully up to the batsman. He was bowling the right length,
Mhm.
and without changing his arm speed and without changing his grip, he was bowling it. So in that sense, I think probably he would have with his change of pace with just one over, if he had bowled then, He could have easily foxed Narine. And
That's the second point you're talking about here.
yeah, absolutely. Narine being Narine, he would have gone after the bowler and he would
Yeah.
have pretty much, hit it in the air and wouldn't have been able to clear the boundary. Whereas in Dan Christian's over, 22 runs,
Yeah.
I think that pretty much changed the game. That
Course
changed the
of the game.
Yeah.
And the third point?
Well, I mean, I don't think there is much to pick up from that.
They lost this game in 2 points. I thought I'll ask you in 3 points, but you're like, yeah, two is good enough for them.
Yeah, isn't it? I think
It is.
the biggest point was Dan Christian's over.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not saying it is a bad move. I'm not saying it is a bad move. It is just that Dan Christian did not execute it. Probably, that is why I'm saying probably a Harshal Patel could have executed his change of pace much better than any other bowler. And he was your go-to bowler.
Fair
He was
point.
wickets for you, and you needed a wicket there.
Yeah, and they kind of made it clear too by giving him something called as a purple cap. I mean, the captain should have seen it. Hey, he's got the highest number of wickets. Let's just give it to him.
Absolutely, isn't it? I think
Well-
that's where I feel, RCB lost the game.
So yes, those were the points Venky had to share regarding the pros and cons for both the teams that went through yesterday. Now, before we finish the episode, there was also a big news coming through, which we already knew, but it ended on a sour note or a bitter note, was Virat Kohli's captaincy coming to an end in the colours of RCB. And I guess pretty much his IPL captaincy career is over, because Venky, he has clearly said he's not going to change loyalty. He's going to wear the same jersey for as long as he plays. So any thoughts on his captaincy, his legacy, what is left behind with RCB?
Well, for me, the biggest news is yes. I mean, everybody knew about Virat Kohli not captaining the side again after this season. So yesterday it was pretty sad to see him leave the IPL without the trophy. So and we could see his face also, quite saddened and yeah, I mean, it didn't go the way he expected actually, and probably the fans the way they expected.
Yeah.
So in that sense, it was disappointing on one side or sad on the other side. Yeah, it is not easy. I mean, Virat being a great performer, a great player, and a fantastic leader. He, like you rightly mentioned, he would have definitely left a legacy. He wanted to create a culture, and which he has done to a large extent. And it's up to the youngster, but how they're going to how they're going to take that culture forward. But one thing, yeah, the great news for me is that his loyalty, that he said that he would like to wear the RCB jersey even in the future. Well, I think that was a wonderful statement that he made, and that should have sort of given the fans a lot of cheer, I would say, because he's somebody who has always played with a lot of passion, and his attitude, nobody can match it. And on the field, I think that's brilliant. So I think that's one great thing for me, saying that, and I'm sure for the fans of Royal Challengers Bangalore, that he still wants to continue playing for Royal and wear the jersey.
Absolutely. I mean, if I might add, he's also along with being passionate, all those things, he's also being smart here. Here's why I think, because he's told, look, I'm going to play for RCB as long as I can and as long as I'm led to. If I'm not playing, it's the owner's fault. Don't look at me. If I'm not retained next season, it's not my fault.
No, nobody would like to give him up or leave him. Definitely, no matter what. No matter what, he's going to leave, or if he doesn't score many runs next season as well, they still would like to keep Virat Kohli, because Virat Kohli is
Virat Kohli. Absolutely.
Yeah,
I was just trying to slip one, just below the belt, but fair enough. But yes, Venky, thank you so much for taking this time and kind of explaining me and the audience about what happened. I'll see you again for the next one when we do the Qualifier 2, if I might add, where DC and KKR will be playing. Thank you so much, Venky.
Thanks, Kiran. Lovely talking to you.
All right. Bye-bye.
See you.